My name's Tracy Reep, retired U.S. Army, Texas Army National Guard rather, and I was a sergeant. I was called up to active duty in late 2002. We were, as a National Guard unit, attached to an active duty unit out of Fort Hood, Texas. And they were called up, and thus they brought us along. We arrived at Fort Hood in January of 2003 and deployed over to Iraq by way of Kuwait in April of 2003. I served 8 months. We were a long-range artillery unit, and by the time we arrived, there wasn't much need for what we did, so we became part of the stabilization force, pulling various job duties, military police, civil affairs, and a lot of light infantry work, which is what I was doing on November 11th, 2003, when I was injured. We were taking supplies via convoy out to a fuel farm. We had about 30 of our fellow unit members protecting, and it was the evening when we were returning from that fuel farm back to our main base that we were ambushed by a group of insurgents, caught on an elevated dirt road out in the middle of a rock quarry, in the middle of what they call a kill sack, which is the worst place you can possibly be. They were able to stop us in the kill sack and began to fire at us with small arms fire. I exited the vehicle, began returning fire, and probably all of this transpired in seconds. Was hit by the shrapnel from a rocket-propelled grenade that one of the insurgents fired. Glanced off my vehicle, fortunately, didn't explode, and the shrapnel from the vehicle as well as the rocket-propelled grenade tore into the left side of my face and really took both eyes initially. Took 2 fingers on my left hand and almost my left arm at the shoulder. I was immediately out of the fight. My unit called in medevac, took me back to the fuel farm, and within an hour I was on a Black Hawk sent back to the Baghdad airport, where they did initial surgeries, and then sent me to Lonsdale and then back to Brooke Army Medical Center, all of which took about 72 hours. It was 2003. I arrived in Brooke Army Medical Center approximately November 14th at some point due to morphine. My memory's a little cloudy. And I spent the next 8 months recovering, rehabilitating, and out processing as they medically retired me due to my injuries. Well, I've always been a bit of a weekend golfer prior to my deployment. Didn't really take the game up seriously until after my injuries, and have been playing it not well, but as frequently as my wife will allow. It was not part of the formal rehabilitation, but as happens more often than not, connected with a couple of other wounded warriors that were in the recovery process there, one of which was an avid golfer. And as soon as I was able to get my clubs to Brooke Army Medical Center, he and I spent many afternoons after our rehabilitation and other duties out on the Fort Sam golf course, enjoying a little camaraderie and kind of blowing off steam. Well, I try to stay as connected as I can with local veteran support organizations, and I think through that affiliation with some of the major or national veteran nonprofits, I was on an email list of some sort, received an initial email inquiring as to my interest, and of course I immediately applied. I believe that was back in May, and the process took, I guess, probably 6 weeks, 8 weeks maybe. Found out that I had been asked to participate, and have been very nervous and excited since. Just the opportunity to get out and play and meet other fellow wounded veterans. That really is the most important part of what we're doing, I know. But I do have several competitive bones in my body, and I'd be lying if I didn't say that I'd like to come away at the top, if not the winner.